The end of summer vacation is almost upon us, but before it ends, I want to discuss a topic that I feel is very important in the gaming industry, and that is backward compatibility. Now, backward compatibility has existed for well over a decade now, stretching from the Game Boy Color, the PlayStation 2, and most prominently, the 7th generation of consoles, with the Wii being compatible with just about every GameCube game. PlayStation 3 initially was backward with just about every PS1 and PS2 game, and Xbox 360 were also compatible with original Xbox games. Not all, but most of them. Well, some of them anyway. Less than 500. Let's leave it at that. But when we transitioned into the 8th generation console, it got very complicated, to say the very least. In the case of the Nintendo Wii U, it was backward compatible with all Wii games, so that's good. But the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, on the other hand, was a completely different story. Both these consoles, when they were revealed, were not backward compatible. At least they weren't supposed to be. Microsoft later on announced that the Xbox One would be backward compatible with Xbox 360 games. However, only some games would work, and even then, it would not be native backward compatibility. You see, in the case for the Wii U, when you put a Wii disc in the console, it runs off the disc. But with the Xbox One, however, if you put an Xbox 360 game in, it acts more like a verification tool, like verifying that you own this game already, and it will prompt you to download a reprogrammed version of that game from the Xbox Store. So that's backward compatibility for the 8th generation console. And now, as of this video, we've had announcements of potentially 9th generation consoles. Nintendo announced last year that they have a new console coming called Codename NX. And Microsoft announced at E3 they have Project Scorpio. And while Sony hasn't made it official, they have the PlayStation 4 Neo that's going to be announced in the following days. And so, what does this mean for backward compatibility? Well, a lot of things. Microsoft has stated that Project Scorpio, which is going to be the next iteration of the Xbox One, which I'm just saying right now is a 9th gen console, because come on, really? By the time it releases, the Xbox One is gonna have the same lifespan as the original Xbox, so there's that. But back on topic, Microsoft did state that the Project Scorpio is gonna support all Xbox One games. So all those games are gonna play on the system, no problem. Now, in the case of the PlayStation 4 Neo and NX, well, since those consoles have not been announced yet, we can only speculate. And I'm going to start off with the NX. Now, NX rumors have been coming in in and out just about almost every week now, if not every day, for the last year or so. And the most popular rumor is that the console is going to be a hybrid. It's a gaming device that you can take on the go, and you can bring it home, and you can play it on your TV. And judging by the games that have been officially announced for the console, that being The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, in particular, we know that the console is going to be more powerful than the Wii U. Just how much more powerful, we don't know, but If it's going to be able to play Breath of the Wild, then it's got to be at least on the level of the Wii U. Now, when it comes to backward... Now, if this theory does turn out to be true, then we could have a number of possibilities here. They could go for having backward compatibility with 3DS games. If this... I mean, I can really see that because if it's going to be a console you can take on the go, then it's technically a successor to the 3DS. So why not have a cartridge? So why not make it so that you can play 3DS games on it? It's also rumored that the console is going to be cartridge based too, so that's a possibility. Now, for Wii U, there's no doubt in my mind. I have strong doubts that the NX is backward compatible with Wii U games. It just doesn't sit right with me because you have the whole situation with the gamepad, and you're emulating a Wii U game onto a new console. So, okay, I know nothing about game development, but I know it's not very easy. And so, but there is the possibility that we could get backward compatibility with Wii games, considering that Wii games are still being sold in stores, and they're not. And considering the Wii is decade-old hardware, it shouldn't be too hard to emulate. So that's my theory for NX. At the moment, anyways. Until they actually announce it. Now, for PlayStation 4 Neo, there are rumors that it's gonna be much more powerful than the original PlayStation 4 model. And if that's the case, they could also include backward compatibility on it. Now, I'm very skeptical of PlayStation 3 backward compatibility because while the PlayStation 3 is a decade old, it was also extremely difficult to program on. So, even bringing one PS3 game is going to be a challenge, major challenge. However, it is likely that PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games could be backward compatible. Sony did the same thing with the PS3. It didn't work out because it made the console too expensive, so they dropped PS2 support, but still kept PlayStation 1 support. So maybe they could at least bring that back and at least appease the consumers. That way, while we don't get backward compatibility for most recent consoles, we can still play all those much older games. And that's really what I'm theorizing here when it comes to these newer consoles, because I really don't want backward compatibility to disappear. If it disappears, if these consoles, the NX and PS4, are not backward compatible at all, then that's going to be a huge problem because we still have a lot of people who are still playing on last-gen consoles, including me. And I definitely don't have any plans to buy an 8th-gen console because, well, one, they're still a bit too expensive. $400, regardless, is asking for quite a bit. And also, if I go from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, then I essentially no longer have access to those older games that I spent tons of hours playing on that older console. And as such, I'd feel a pretty bit, disappointed that I spent all that money and now I can't play them anymore because I had to get rid of that. most likely get rid of my console to get rid of my PS3 so I could pay for my PS4. So that's what I'm sure it's not the same case for everybody, but it's definitely the case for a lot of people who've had to trade in their who decided to trade in their old consoles for the newer ones just so that they wouldn't have to pay so much. And with all that said, guys, I think this is really all there is I have to say. I am again really hopeful that backward compatibility is something that they keep with these newer consoles. I really do. And like always, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Most likely, the next time you guys will be seeing me will probably be an unboxing of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Can't wait to get that game. Sort of. Well, see you later.